Fighting in close quarters is one of the most satisfying things you can do in Destiny 2, but there's a limit to how much you can brawl. The Hunter's smoke bomb has to recharge, the almighty Titan's shoulder needs to recover, and even the Warlock's tickle fingers need a break sometimes. But what if they didn't? There are a lot of exotic weapons vying for your attention in Destiny 2, so there has to be a strong reason for you to choose one over the other. Today we're going to examine the Monte Carlo and talk about its strengths, weaknesses, and effects on your gameplay. Let's get started. The Monte Carlo is a 600 RPM auto rifle with some above average stats, but its base performance isn't what makes it exceptional. Its exotic traits are what take it miles above the competition. The first trait is Monte Carlo Method. Dealing damage with this weapon reduces your melee cooldown, and kills have a chance to reset it completely. Its second trait is Markov Chain, and this one is dense. Like Swashbuckler, which can be found on legendary weapons, kills increase the Monte Carlo's damage. This buff can be stacked up to 5 times, and each kill increases your stacks by 1. Melee kills will set you to 5 stacks immediately, and they reload the weapon's entire magazine. Although the Monte Carlo has solid range for an auto rifle, you don't want to push out far beyond mid-range. To get the most out of Markov Chain, you'll want your first kill to be a melee kill, and whenever you need to reload, look for an enemy to punch instead. Something important to keep in mind about the Monte Carlo Method trait is that it doesn't require kills to reduce your melee cooldown, so whittling down major enemies with it is a viable tactic, if doing so will give you access to a powerful melee ability like a Smoke Bomb, one of the Titan's 3 shoulder charge abilities, or one of the Warlock's more niche melee abilities. This is especially true if you have 5 stacks of Markov Chain. At maximum stacks, you'll be doing about 65% increased damage, and that's huge. The most crucial thing to remember about the Monte Carlo is how the weapon influences your armor selection. Because it reduces your melee cooldown so quickly and consistently, strength is completely useless to you, so you'll want to build an armor set to use specifically with this gun if you want to get the most out of it. Prioritize intellect for super energy generation, discipline for grenade cooldown reduction, and resilience for slightly increased shield capacity. Resistance mods will also make you more durable when fighting in close quarters. Overall, what we have here is a versatile auto rifle that will significantly enhance the capabilities of a melee-centric build. But we've also got a beautiful looking weapon with solid range, so even if you can't close the gap to get down and dirty with your enemies, the Monte Carlo is still fantastic. It looks great, it sounds great, it is great. But if you guys know anything about me, you'll know that there's a little something missing from this masterpiece of a weapon. The Monte Carlo is a little bit too clean and polished for a gun that expects me to bloody my knuckles in combat, and if I'm honest, I wouldn't want to spill any blood on the Monte. Luckily, the Cerberus Plus 1 is a dirty bastard, and it fills the close quarters niche in a much more spectacular way. Its base stats are terrible across the board, but its impact stat is deceptive. The Cerberus's exotic trait is 4-headed dog. It fires 4 bullets per trigger pull at 360 RPM. Its second trait is Spread Shot Package. Your bullet spread is tightened when you aim down sights. This gun was obviously designed by a crazy person that thought one gun wasn't enough, and it feels like the most impractical weapon that Guardians can use. Even its exotic catalyst feels like an impractical joke. Hold down the reload button and you'll slap this broken mess and make it a bit more broken. It'll switch to a new firing mode which will severely reduce its range but massively increase its damage. Shove all 4 barrels into your opponent's mouth and they'll get obliterated. Stand more than arm's length away and they'll take almost no damage. It's weird but strangely effective, but it still begs the question, why am I enjoying this sloppy dog so much? Maybe it's because it's not sloppy at all. Take a good look at my bullets and you'll notice they're not random. One shot is always exactly where my reticle is pointed, and the 3 extras rotate around it in a clockwise pattern. It's actually kind of beautiful. It makes me wonder how many little things I've missed because I didn't take the time to slow down and appreciate them. Who am I kidding? The Cerberus Plus 1 is completely ridiculous, but it's a truckload of fun, and there's a lot of fun missing from the Monte Carlo. Without a doubt, the Monte is the more effective exotic auto rifle for increasing your Guardian's overall power because it reduces your Guardian's melee ability cooldown in addition to being a solid gun. but the Cerberus +1 feels better as a close quarters killing machine. I'll put it to you this way, if I had to pick a gun to take into a shitstorm, I'd pick the sloppy dog with 4 times the firepower and 4 times the fun. And there we go, that's going to do it for the exotic review of the Monte Carlo, and a surprise visit from the Cerberus +1. Both of these guns are a lot of fun and incredibly powerful for completely different reasons. The Monte Carlo, again, it's going to beef up whatever melee focused build you have, and if you take the time to curate a loadout around it, it's going to be ridiculous. But the Cerberus +1, it's going to fit with whatever playstyle you have, and it is going to destroy red bar enemies, and it's going to do a pretty decent job against majors as well, especially if you can get all 4 pellets to hit with every shot. So I would definitely recommend crossing your fingers if you don't have either of these guns. They are amazing. With all of that said, we're going to wrap things up here, but don't worry, there is plenty more Destiny 2 content coming in the future. But before we close out completely, I want to give a special shout out to Tower Watch. He re-became a patron, and I greatly appreciate the continued support. You're freaking awesome, dude. Thank you very much. For anybody else that would like to support the channel more than you already do just by watching, liking, subscribing, and commenting, you can head over to patreon.com/iBluairJgR to become a patron. As always, the name of the game is Destiny 2, the name of the channel is iBluairJgR. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.